No, Jane, it is not a joke kusema asubuhi ni kujipanga. Siasa sio mchezo, my friend. You know, the very asubuhi makes you happy all day.
Let's start with your whereabouts. Where did you retreat to after the president sacked you as CS of Interior?
I stepped aside, and typical of my background, I went to my ranch to look after my cows. Definitely I needed some time to recuperate from the fatigue and reorganize my life again.
Let's go back to the point where you were appointed to the powerful docket of Interior as a CS. Many felt that you didn't have the proper credentials or portfolio to match it. Why were you appointed? Was there any interview?
The appointment could not just have come from the blues. A lot of background work was done. A number of names were fronted. Of course, we were all called to State House before the appointment. The president carried the interviews himself. And so the notion that I never had the credentials to match that was malicious.
So for those who felt walikuwa nasema yule mtu wa hoteli, yule cook, mpishi, meaning that you are not qualified, not competent.
I have never been a cook, but I have a lot of respect for them. You know, I have a lot of respect for them, as I would always have for people I work with in every institution at every level. That is a level of a career for some individuals who many people never achieve to get to that chef. They are calling me a chef, but that never bothered me. And I have no regret because I look proudly what I've done for my country. I look at the policies we put in place. We rolled out Nyumba Kumi. We viciously wage a war on drugs, police reforms, even vetting the service to rid them of officers who do not have the ethic quality required of their service. Vetting them and removing them was a hot potato. Nobody could touch it. Lenku went for it. And so many things we did. I'm very, very proud that we did it. It was not me alone. It was a teamwork. Of course, I had to carry the cross, and that is the price of being the boss.
And talking about carrying the cross, during your tenure, Kenya experienced the worst terrorist attack, the Westgate attack. And 3 days into the attack, you made a statement that up to date, Kenyans still remember. The statement that talked about terrorists burning mattresses inside there. Do you have any regret of what you said?
Absolutely no regret. I stand by the statement that what we began came to bear some fruits after I've left the office. And so I am satisfied and grateful to God that I had the privilege to serve my country at that level.
How will you overcome the perception that others will say Ole Lenku failed in government?
Politics is not very new to me. First of all, let me say that during independence, my father was a paramount chief. And paramount chiefs at that time, after the colonial Kenya, were basically very, very respectable individuals and men who ruled at their time. And so I come from a very strong leadership pedigree as a family. Many Kenyans didn't know that I also ran for a political office in 2003. When the then Minister for Public Service, the late Parpai, passed on, I contested the seat for Kajiado South as Member of Parliament. Of course, I didn't make it. And so I have never been very far from politics. Don't also forget that the job of Cabinet Secretary also has very strong political inclination and political work to be done. Even if we say these are bureaucrats, it is all politics.
Going into politics, you are likely to be seen as one of those cabinet secretaries who have exited government and now turning into politics as soft landing. There's Waziri Charity Ngilu, there's the Waziri Anne Waiguru, and now Lenku.
Look at the circumstances we left government. Lenku left government because there was so much outcry. It was appropriate for me to relieve the president of the pain of being harassed of inefficiency. But not that I was inefficient or not that I had any credibility question. I was never accused of corruption or anything. And so my going to politics is really my choice.
And looking into politics in Kenya, it's all about money. And you don't seem to be struggling on that front. What is the source of money?
I don't think politics is all about money. Politics is about service. You know, politics is about service. People who have money have an upper hand because we have the disgraceful situation of buying voters, and that is very unfortunate for us as a country. For me, I see politics as a service, just as my seat for Interior SCS was a service to my country. This is a service to my community. I very strongly feel that I have an opportunity to improve the lives of the people of Kajiado, to contribute to good leadership of this country.
Mm-hmm. And your image as cabinet secretary still persists. How different will Lenku, the politician, be from the interior CS at Harambee House? I
still have a bit of I'm uncomfortable being called a politician, because the connotation of a politician is somebody sometimes corrupt, not very straight, you know, crooked, you know, mkorofi kidogo. And people know Lenku as a gentle guy. They nickname me pastor on the ground, that Lenku is so gentle like a pastor. But my having put up a very strong campaign machinery for the last 1.5 years, and my candidature has gained very serious credibility. Everybody now knows that Ole Lenku is the man to beat. And so sometimes looks are misleading. And because you say you are ready, you're the man to watch. Yes. I would like us to talk about public accountability. Yes. And there was this perception that Lenku was still drawing a salary months after he left cabinet. Yes. What do you have to say about that? You know, there were very many things that were said about this Lenku. You talk about my profession, what I was being called. You talk about drawing a salary and all that. I think when I finished my service and the incumbent was appointed as CS for Interior, that was the last time I received my salary. And so I was paid within my framework of appointment. It is part of the bigger scheme to try and find some baggage to place on Lenku, because when you go to politics or you're in a big public office, people will try and look at your background to see whether there is any dosari, whether there is any stain. They couldn't find any. The time you were the CS, you were subject to jokes and ridicule here and there. And now into politics, it's double that. How will you cope with that? How will you manage? I am probably one of the most misunderstood Kenyans, probably the most ridiculed, insulted man in this country. But you know, if you look at the history of all great men, what they go through before their societies get to know them and appreciate them is unbelievable. I think I'm only paying a small price of seeking to lead. And that price I'm willing to pay. And I know I will lead. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.